This is WOOL-FM 91.5 Bellows Falls, community radio for the southern Vermont and New Hampshire borderlands.
You're on the high wire, and I'm climbing up, and I feel the danger as I steal a kiss from your mouth. And I will try
You regular listeners are recognizing that track. That's the opening cut from Vertigo. It's a CD by Antje Duvekot. The near demise of the high wire dancer. She's going to be playing here at the Wyndham Ballroom this Saturday, November 14th, along with very special guests, the Stockwell brothers. And I've got Antje on the phone and Barry Stockwell from the Stockwell brothers with me here in the studio. Hello, everybody.
Hello.
Hey there. Yeah, we've done a lot of shows, starting way back at Hooker Dunham. I've presented Antje probably a dozen times or more as Twilight Music at Hooker Dunham and at Next Stage. You remember that show in Putney at the Greenhoe Theater with
Yeah.
Ellis Paul and Aeneas Mitchell and yourself? A big triple bill.
Yeah, lots of good shows.
Yeah.
Now, I'm going to make you blush for just a minute. Antje was a grand prize winner in the John Lennon Songwriting Competition. She won the Kerrville Best New Folk Award. She won the Boston Music Award for Outstanding Folk Act, and Boston is a folk town. She's played the Newport Folk Festival, Mountain Stage, the Philadelphia and Kerrville Festivals, Celtic Connections Festival in Scotland, Tonder Festival in Denmark, and she's going to be playing here in Bellows Falls.
That's right. Added to the list.
Your songs, Antje, how would you describe the way you write and what you write about? What can people expect?
I would say all of my albums to date have a sort of sense of, I don't know if I can put it into one word. I'm just going to put it into several words. But a lot of them are, I suppose, if you wanted to describe it to a regular mainstream music listener, they might think that my music is intense. But I think it's more just important or serious or so. I don't want to say humorless, but a lot of my songs address big philosophical issues. A lot of them revolve around courage and passion and mortality and war. And but there's some that are fun as well.
Mm-hmm.
But they're heavy topics, but not depressing. I think I try to address heavy topics, but I've been told at least that a lot of my writing also has this kind of perseverance and hope and lightness in it. So that's the best I can do describing it. It's super hard to describe your own music.
And the presentation is ethereal and beautiful. You're not hitting people over the head with this stuff. It's like you're speaking from your heart.
Yeah, and I try not to be too heavy-handed, so I do kind of approach writing in a poetic and abstract way. It's not like I'm preaching or anything.
You said in an interview that you, and I don't know if this is still true, but earlier on you used songs as kind of therapeutic devices.
Sure. I mean, a lot of my songs are about the human condition. A lot of them are personal, first person, or at least something that is close to me or something that I've been feeling. Maybe it might be something I'm not personally going through, but someone else is going through that I care about. So in that sense, they are therapeutic because they are making sense of real life, I think.
And a lot of them have a kind of a spiritual searching aspect to them. And I've read that you, your folks were atheist and strict. And is it unusual? Is that a reaction to that?
Maybe a little bit, yeah. I grew up in a very sober, non-artful household. Like my mom and my stepdad, they worshipped Ayn Rand, and they worshipped reason, but to the almost exclusion of feelings and art. And they didn't really care much for music. They were very kind of, definitely, I would say, not spiritual. And I've always felt a little more whimsical, and I didn't feel like I fit that, even though I'm still an atheist. Technically, I'm always searching. I'm curious. I feel like there's no certainty about anything, including atheism. I'm always kind of on a quest for the meaning of life, as we are all. And of course, it's a futile quest, but I think the quest itself is important, and it actually can invigorate you. So I definitely use my art for that.
But you also get into a lot of songs about, interpersonal relationships, dating, stuff like that.
Sure. I mean, yeah, it's hard not to write about love.
Yes, it is. Now, I know what you spent time in Vermont. You were in New York for a while, New York City, but Boston is really home now. It sounds like that's the place for you?
Yeah, I think I'm pretty entrenched here by now. But I did love living in Vermont. I lived in Brattleboro for about a year. And so it feels like home because of that, but it also feels like home because of, like Barry was saying, we've done so many shows together over the years that I think of it as a musical home, and like truly grateful for getting to come back there so many times, and it's been really a pleasure working with Barry.
You're always welcome here.
Yeah.
Boston, though, I mean, it's got such a rich folk history with Club Passim, and we had Jim Rooney on last year, and just the tales he tells about those old days.
Well, it's still alive. The folk scene is still quite healthy here in Boston. So it's what brought me to the city, actually. I just felt like it was my people.
Barry, we've been really quiet. I want you to pipe in here.
I'm learning. I just wanted to talk a bit about this show and how it came together. As you know, Next Stage is down for renovations, but we've been doing shows in other venues trying to connect with other arts organizations, and we wanted to do something in November, and it was time to bring Antje back. I think the last show we did was at Next Stage last January, and so I wanted to do the show and tried to do the usual match, the co-bill with another singer-songwriter. Obviously, the first thing you look for when you're trying to pair singer-songwriters, it has to make musical sense. And over the years, Antje's done shows with Aeneas Mitchell and Seth Gleer, who just did one with Haley Reardon. That was the one last January, I guess. It's always nice when the music makes sense, but then on top of that, when the artists know each other and sometimes can do some songs together, it kind of is pretty cool. And I said, wait a minute, the Stockwell brothers do 4 of Antje's songs. It's not your standard twin bill, really. So that's how this show came together. And Antje was talking earlier about how personal her songs are, but I find that there's so much that sort of, I think, speaks to all of us in the lyrics and the poetry, and then those melodies that just take your breath away. That's when I started thinking about, well, what the heck? Let's give this a shot. And I think Antje's response was something along the lines of, that would be a hoot. And I took that and ran with it. The plan is for each of us to do sets, but then to do, hopefully, 4 songs together, 4 of Antje's songs together.
That would be great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so great. I love playing with people, but a lot of times when you share the bill with someone, they learn your song sort of last minute. They say, oh, you want to play on my song? That'd be great. But then they don't really know the chords, and it's sort of like, okay, well, just the fact that the Stockwell brothers have already been playing these songs is so exciting, because I love the arrangements that they've already worked out for them. So it should be a treat.
Yeah, I'm very excited about this show. This is going to be a lot of fun.
I have a kind of a question out of left field. You were talking about knowing the chords. I've been listening to Noah's Titanic on repeat a little bit. Where did that crazy chord come from in there?
Oh, that's funny. Where did it come from? I don't know. I guess I was just trying to not write the same old melody. I was trying to do something different, so I put my finger down in an unorthodox position on the guitar, and it sounds spooky and not really legal, but that's part of the song. It's kind of supposed to put you off guard a little bit.
Oh, it does, in a wonderful way. When you write songs, how do you do it lyric first, music first? Does it all kind of come out?
The music is harder for me. I struggle to find an original melody. To be honest, I work super hard at melody because I find it so easy to just come up with something really kind of trite, and so I kind of craft the melody over and over. I really work hard at getting a melody in place, and then I'll put words to the existing melody that I already invented. So I think that's not very common. I think most people don't have a full melody in place before they put words, but that's how I do it.
Mm-hmm. Well, I have to say that you're successful in finding your own melody and voice, certainly, because you don't sound like other people.
Oh, thanks. Partially, I make an effort, and partially it's just how, everyone has their own musical head. It just sort of comes in a certain way.
You moved to the U.S. from Germany. You were 13 or 14, something like that. Then when you were 18, you started recording cassettes for your friends, I read. Oh, no, when you were 18, you won that open mic competition.
Yeah, that was my first outing.
So that was a fast progression, really, coming to English as a second language and then winning open mic 4 years later?
Well, let's put it in perspective. I mean, I won an open mic in a small little bar in Philly. It wasn't a great song or anything. But yeah, I did sort of have to learn English quickly because it was a sink or swim situation. I was plunged into American school. There were no other Germans around, which is actually a good way to learn language, like full immersion. You don't really have a choice. So, yeah, I did learn English pretty quickly. I guess I just soaked in everything around me, and suddenly I was able to speak.
You're a quick study. Since that first win, though, that was quite a springboard. You've worked with some amazing people.
Yeah, I'm still making a record right now. I'm very close to finish. I keep saying that, but I really am. But I'm one of the things that I'm most excited about is the people I have on it. I guess over my decade-long career, I have met a lot of really talented people who some of them actually became famous. Like I knew them back when, and now they're really successful. But I have Anais Mitchell. She's from Vermont. Mm-hmm. She's on the record, and Richard Schindel and John Glocka and Sean Mullins and Liz Longley and Meg Hutchinson and all these people who I think are amazing are all singing and playing on the record. So that's really the most special thing about it, I would say.
So we've been talking with Antje Duvekot. She's going to be playing with the Stockwell brothers. Barry Stockwell is here in the studio with me. The show is coming up this Saturday, the 14th, at the Wyndham Ballroom. It's a Next Stage Arts Project thing, but it's happening at the Wyndham Ballroom. It's a collaborative effort with Twilight Music, with WOOL 91.5, that's us, and Popolo Restaurant. And I hope it's the first of many, because this is going to be a powerhouse show. It's going to be so good.
It is. It's going to be. Next Stage is very excited about doing more shows. Mm-hmm. And this while we were renovating the building, which is coming along great. We're due to open in December, mm-hmm. December 9th. The last 6 months have given us an opportunity to connect with other arts organizations. We just did a show at the Vermont Jazz Center. I did a couple of concerts this summer at Hooker Dunham again, and now at Popolo. And we just love connecting with other groups that are trying to do what we're trying to do, and I think together we can do better.
The Putney community is lucky to have people like Barry working tirelessly to make things
Oh, thanks.
It really
better all
is.
the time.
And it's lucky to have artists like you come visit from time to time.
My pleasure.
Yeah, I'm loving it. It's so nice to be able to bring good music to town and try to connect those musicians with audiences. I think it comes from me playing music for so long and knowing how hard it is. Thinking I'm doing pretty well musically, but it's hard to get gigs for starters. And then if you travel, you don't know if you're going to have a crowd of 20 or.
Oh yeah. And with all the changes in the biz, in the music business, as far as album sales, it's like you've got to tour.
Right, and you really are, as a musician. I think people aren't aware of how much depends on whether there are individuals in a certain area working on the arts. Like, for example, I have a pretty good following in southern Vermont, but maybe not too much in northern New Hampshire, and that's because of Barry. It's not some random thing, or same goes for other places. I have followings in places where there are people promoting music. It's a really direct effect, actually. So,
yeah, I really like doing this because, again, I know how hard it is. And when I got flipped around about 10, 12 years ago, when I started doing the Twilight on the Tavern Lawn concerts and working at Hooker Dunham, I was all of a sudden on the other side of the coin. I wasn't the musician, I was the venue, and I could bring people to Brattleboro or Putney, and I just jumped on that. It feels so good when works.
Works.
And the music
Yeah.
is always good. And if you can get people out, that's a lot of my job these days. But it's just nice. I get to hear all this great music too. At times, my wife has referred to it as my expensive hobby, but I do get to hear a lot of great concerts, and I'm happy with
Well,
that.
your expensive hobby makes other people happy, so that's something.
Yeah, that's it. I book music that I love, and then if some nights we don't make money, that's okay because I feel good about it for a lot of other reasons.
Antje, I read that you have a town in Alaska where the whole town is your fan base.
Yeah, I did this festival in Aldovia, Alaska, and it's a very remote town, 200 inhabitants, and they all came to the show. They were very appreciative that I made it, that someone made it to their town. So it was very funny because the next day I was walking through town and everybody knew me. It was like feeling like a rock star in a very small microcosm.
So this show, tickets are going pretty well from what I understand, and there's a chance that it's going to sell out. So the smart money would be to, if you want to go, get tickets in advance. You can get them online at popolomeanspeople.com. Are they available through nextstagearts.org?
Yep.
And you can get them in person over at Popolo if you're, having a meal there or headed through town. Just stop in during hours and you can buy a ticket at the front.
Yep. And the two other outlets in Putney, Offerings Jewelry has
good.
tickets, in Brattleboro with Turn It Up Records.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to assume that tickets are going to be available at the door and get to the door and find out you missed it.
Yeah.
That's happened to me.
Buy early and often.
Antje, thank you so much for bringing joy and thoughtfulness to the world.
Oh, thank you for the same. Thanks for supporting the arts.
And we're going to go out on a song that Barry picked out. Why don't you introduce it?
I don't remember which one did we pick. Did we pick Anna?
Yeah.
One of my favorites. This song is just an amazing song, and along with most of all the songs on that record. So keep up the good work. Good luck with the new CD. We can't wait to hear it.
Yeah.
And this is one from 8 years ago or so, I think, 8 or 10 years.
Something like that.
Yeah, who's counting?
And sometime during the rest of the show, I am going to play Noah's Titanic so everybody can hear that crazy chord I was talking about.
I'll point it out.
Okay.
I'll see you in a few days. Thank you.
Okay. Can't
Thanks,
wait.
Antje.
Thank you, guys.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.
Anna stares out of the window. It's her 85th spring. She tries to concentrate on some